And welcome to Celeritas. After a short break, we rejoin you for our Division 1 race tonight. We are headed out there to the fantastic street race of Singapore. My name is Webbo, and I'm joined in commentary as a regular feature now by Branch. Hey, Branch.
Hello, how's it going?
Well, we're excited about seeing the cars running around the Singapore track, but we are a little bit short on drivers tonight. I think it was a similar story in last night's race, Branch.
Yeah, in last night's race we had 12 total drivers, 7 total finishers, so
Okay.
probably expecting something a little bit similar because this track is very difficult.
It is, absolutely. I know from personal experience, I've actually been there. I've watched the race, I've walked the track. It's a punishing, difficult, and really quite a long, draining track to drive. Is it the track, do you think, or is it the position in the season that we can most likely blame for our poor attendance?
I think you can probably blame a little bit of both.
Yeah,
Obviously towards the season, there's a lot of different factors that can play into people not necessarily wanting to show up for a race, but
and
at the
to
end
add
of the
to the
day,
drama, Branch, I've just read in the Discord, apparently it's full wet for the race.
oh wow, yeah, we didn't get that in Division 2 yesterday, so that is going to be quite interesting.
Absolutely, the most challenging conditions possible. I wonder if our drivers are going to attempt to do a wet setup qualifying. What would you do in this case?
I would absolutely do that. There's no way you're going to be able to do anything on this track if you are not completely ready for the wet conditions.
Right, right.
This track is already probably the second hardest track on the game behind Monaco, and to add to it, it rains here all the time. So if you take that into consideration, you could probably consider this the hardest track in the game.
When I was there in person, I was dying for it to rain, and it simply would not rain. But yeah, I totally buy that. We haven't seen a fully wet race in real life, but I know it's a fairly frequent occurrence for league races.
Yeah, I did, I think 4 practice races, and it rained at 3 of them. So,
Right. Wow.
um, it, it, the game tends to like to send rain your way a lot when you race here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nonetheless, this track, at least in the dry, so the drivers will get to have at least one dry session here in qualifying, and this track is pretty fun in the dry. Even with its difficulty, when you really hook up a lap here, it is extremely satisfying.
Absolutely. And I do wonder whether the lap records and everything will change in real life when we see this section particularly. I'm just watching with Senna. This section is likely not to exist anymore. These 4 corners, I think they will stop going under the stadium and by the waterfront.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's the current plan. Anyway, Senna heading out for a fast lap. Branch, could you take us through?
Yeah, well, down the first long straight into this first corner, you really have to throw it in here, and then another quick right-hander towards this slow left-hander. One of my favorite sections of the track right there. You have to be so precise. This medium speed right-hander, hold a lot of speed through there, but you have to be careful because the exit is a lot tighter than you think it is. Down the longest straight on the track, the best overtaking opportunity. Down to third gear for a left-hander. Ride the curve right there, down to second gear for this very slow section right here. Or into this left-hander that leads onto the second longest straight on the track. Over towards turn 10, no longer a slingshot, but still a corner you have to watch out for. Over the bridge, down into the slowest corner on the circuit, the hairpin. He definitely missed that a little bit there. You can pretty much hug the wall there. Take as much curve as possible. Down into third. He seems to be just a little bit cautious. I think he's just trying to make sure he gets a lap in his first time around.
Yeah, not a bad approach, maybe.
There's a few curves that can really mess with your track limits. You have to watch where your tires are at all times. So, just trying to get a lap on the books is not a terrible idea. As he comes into this last corner, you don't really have to brake for this in the dry.
Just a downshift, yeah.
Just a downshift, and he finishes with a 136.3.
And Lightning gets the fastest time on the first run out of him, Senna, and Lankavas. Lankavas was the first person to register a time there. Maybe 3 runs is about your maximum, Branch?
I would say 3 runs is probably a pretty good number. I see Lightning did I think time on the mediums, at least for his first lap. That is a very interesting idea because tire wear is obviously terrible at this track. The tires will get beat up.
Yeah.
So qualifying on the mediums can put you closer to a one-stop. However, one-stop is still a difficult strategy to run because the hard tires here are really bad.
But it's all to play for, given that we've been told it's a wet race, a full wet race. So really nothing to be gained from the mediums unless you can't hold the maximum soft grip together in one lap, which is a possible element there. But just riding with, I'm going to say Pete, unless that's Piet. I'm not sure where he's from, but yeah, not commentated on a race with him before. FedEx runner though is out there in his 3rd sector. It's about to throw it into the last corner, really aggressively, crosses the line, instant pole position, better than Prime, half a second plus more than Prime on that first run. So I'm sure that would be really satisfying for him. Meanwhile, Dawadek invalidated his first attempt, so no joy from him.
One thing I'm noticing already is that I'm seeing a lot of guys not necessarily watching their ERS consumption around the lap because if you notice at the end of the lap, if you don't turn your ERS off at some point, you will come to the last corner without it. It will be depleted completely. So it's interesting to see if any of these drivers will be able to figure that out and turn their ERS off because it can hinder your lap.
Wongfi in the Ferrari gets a 37.0. Not a brilliant time from him. Renko goes faster though. Yeah, in the McLaren. So 34.0 is a smart first time. Is it something held in your, is your best time here, Branch, held in your memory, or would you rather forget?
It's actually it's a 133.9 actually.
Wow, excellent.
But that is time trial. I've noticed that just driving this track in a Grand Prix setting as opposed to time trial, you will be a lot slower. I don't know what causes that necessarily, but I have noticed that you're almost always slower, at least maybe on multiplayer. So,
yeah,
to see a 134 out there is actually fairly impressive.
Yeah, I dare say we'll see better from Dawadek. He is hooked up at the moment. He's absolutely bossing this game in general. If you look at the showroom and his fast times, he's absolute king of time trial. And lately he has been able to put it together in qualifying as well. So I think he'll be out there expecting a bit more.
Yeah, I don't doubt that he could be the first of the 133 runners. He's already on his outlap right now.
Yeah.
Just going through the second sector.
I'm just gonna watch along with Waitsy. Slow first sector, but he was talking his chances down. I wonder if he's actually running an outlap or a warm-up lap or something here. Because
oh no, I can't tell if I'm lagging or not. It looks like he's going into a wall.
Was that Waitsy or was that Dawadek?
That was Waitsy. Yeah.
Okay. No, he didn't hit a wall. He went quite aggressively over an apex, but that was about it. but he's currently 4th. I think that might be better than his expectation, but of course as you mentioned, we haven't seen Dawidek's fast time yet. Some other drivers heading out the pits, but Pete has gone through sector 1 3 seconds faster than he's been before, so but his time...
But he invalidates.
He didn't.
No, he didn't?
He didn't. On my screen, he didn't go red, so I really thought my eyes went to the map thinking I'm sure he's about to do it, but no. Not yet. We'll join with Dawidek shortly.
This game tends to be a little inconsistent with that sometimes.
Yeah.
Where there's sometimes you go over a curb and you get back on the track and it doesn't even notice.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even go off the track and it still notices. So
definitely. Well, Dawidek has purpled for himself the first sector, 26.003. So good first sector. He doesn't want to take too much out of the tyres or, as you say, his ERS. But he's going to need to spend some now.
Well, he doesn't need to worry about tires because it is a full red race.
True. I wondered if he wouldn't have much left at the end of a single lap of performance if he spent it all at the start, but
slid through the hairpin a little
definitely
bit there.
backed it into the hairpin, and yeah, I don't think he's going to be scoring any major results with that lap. I wonder if he can he get round and do a back-to-back, do you think, Branch?
Back-to-back is a little difficult with these soft tires because they're so...
touches the wall.
They get worn so easily. I mean, if you think about it, if this was a dry race, 1 lap old softs would probably only give you about 5 to 6 laps on track. So, putting that into qualifying sense, you're taking away just about 12 to 13% a lap tire wear. I don't see anyone being able to do back-to-backs, as he puts in a 134.3 and is side-by-side with his team.
Wow, that's quite incredible given that he backed it into the hairpin and looked like he was in 2 minds whether to continue. Prime is half a second up on his lap right now. He's through sector 2, so half a second up in sector 2 to himself. Looks like some good lines through the last few corners here. Just feathers the throttle into the final corner and goes up to P2, a 34.3. Very nice. I dare say Dawidek has got a 33 in him tonight, given what we saw as evidence on the track there.
I would probably say the same. Yeah, I do think we will see 33 tonight.
FedEx
especially with
through sector 2. Sorry, Branch. FedEx through sector 2. Set a purple sector 2 there. So it's quite a long last sector of the track here. A lot that can go wrong.
I don't know. I didn't even notice the storm was here. Yeah, is he racing?
Interesting. No, doesn't seem to be. I didn't see his attendance, so he may well have never planned to race tonight. 5 tenths faster for FedEx, and he goes into those 33s. Beautiful lap. Really, really nice from FedEx. So lays the gauntlet down for the rest of the field, and especially for Dawidek, his teammate.
Yeah, that is big, especially if you think about the fact that AlphaTauri has been trying so hard to catch up to Haas in terms of championship standings.
Absolutely. Renko's looking good as well, Branch. Renko's got it on a hot lap again.
He's got the Red Bull in front of him. Hopefully, I don't know if he is also on a hot lap or not.
Yeah.
He's using DRS. Oh no, he's going back.
There we go. Still holds purple at the moment, but yeah, that does look like it might have hampered him somewhat. It doesn't take much when the margins are so short.
The traffic here can be pretty bad.
Lustovier gets out of his way pretty nicely there, but you're right.
Passing already here is fairly difficult, but especially in qualifying, just being able to get it out of someone's way to hit rather than
Renko, pole position, 33.596. So again, I still think there's more to be had in there, given his traffic issue there. So that will will really make FedEx Runner frustrated, because I'm pretty sure he was happy with that initial time. I haven't been keeping an eye on people's time trials. What I try and do is, before the race, try and check out what people's current best time trials are, but I haven't had time today.
The fastest of the people that are on my friends list, I think was Tom F1 with like a 1:32.9 or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they're some quick times.
It's a lot of time to find.
And obviously, the time delta at this track specifically is a little bit more, just because the longer the lap is, the more mistakes can be made in terms of time. So obviously, it's not too odd to see people be seconds apart just because of how long this lap is. So yeah, but we've seen some incredibly quick times, and I'm wondering if some of the guys at the bottom are going to be able to pick up that pace a little bit.
One would imagine as well that these are quick times, especially if they've got wet setups on. I mean,
that is very true. You gotta wonder. I mean, personally, I don't think I could ever run a 1:33 with a wet setup here. So
Pete goes last place, 37.8, and we have suddenly seen Storm join. So he joined late in qualifying. I really hope that doesn't cause the famous glitch.
Yeah, he hasn't left the pits yet. So
right.
I don't know if he's actually still planning on qualifying necessarily.
Is that what actually does it? If you join qualifying and then do a lap?
I don't know.
I haven't seen
I mean, every time that someone joins late to a lobby like that, generally they do go out and do a lap. So I don't know if it negates it by not doing a lap. I've never seen anyone try to do that before, so maybe.
It looks like the first of the final laps will be run by Prime, I think. He's just warming up the tyres. He's behind BMW Oosterveer on track, but I think, as far as I can see on track position, from our top runners, Prime will be the first one to do his last run here. If that makes any kind of sense. Okay. Here he goes though, Prime getting started, yeah.
That was a pretty good exit. That corner can be, that last corner can be pretty tricky. You know, sometimes you talk about when you're doing qualifying that the lap starts before the lap actually starts. You have to get the last corner right, and this last corner specifically can really hurt you, because the lap here is so downforce heavy that a lot of people go for high downforce setups. So if you don't get that last corner perfectly right, going down that first long straight, you will be very slow, and it can hamper you dearly.
Yeah.
That last corner is incredibly crucial. It seems like Prime has a pretty good lap going. I'm a little bit wondering, because Oosterveer is on a fast lap. He does not have to get out of the way of Prime at all.
And he's not catching him very much either, so yeah, it's not ideal for Prime here. He perhaps should have created a little bit more space.
Yeah, you really do want a lot of space at this track, especially if you're someone like Prime who is incredibly quick.
He's slightly over his time through Sector 2. It might be better for us to join. Let's look at FedEx Runner, who's 2/10 under his fastest time at the moment. Not quite enough to see him on pole, but that was through Sector 2, so through Sector 1, so that he has got the opportunity to just grab a little bit more time through this second sector, and he just consolidates that 2/10. It's all about the final sector for FedEx Runner. Takes a nice line through there, maybe slightly hesitant mid-corner. Skirts past the wall with pinpoint accuracy. Real faith-based driving there, by just assuming the car will drift and not quite do what your steering input tells you. Straight across the apex of the final corner, sixth gear, pole position for FedEx, 33.4. That was gorgeous, gorgeous lap from FedEx.
Coming in with a pretty quick time. Let's see if he's able to improve it all.
2 tenths faster, 4 tenths faster, a P3 for the AlphaTauri of Dawidek. He hasn't got an answer for FedEx runner tonight.
Yeah, FedEx seems to be the quicker of the AlphaTauris tonight.
Just following Renko. Renko is on his final attempt here. He only needs just over a tenth, and he's got 600ths of that ready through sector 2. This is super, super tight stuff. Got Waitsy ahead of him, Branch. Think far enough away?
I think he's far enough away, yeah, at this point.
Completely different line to FedEx runner under the stadium. Really showed the wall a lot more of a gap.
Oh, wow! They held it together, but that was pretty close.
Four-wheel drift, opposite lock, crosses the line, goes even faster with pole! Good grief! I don't quite believe what I've just seen. He drifted. He drifted through that branch.
Fully sideways coming out of that corner.
Amazing drive.
Also, Waitsy put himself in 4th place, so Prime will be starting at 5th.
Yeah, and right at the death there, Storm got 13th place. One lap, he had to do it.
Wow. Yeah.
So, Branch, take us through the grid, if you will.
Alright, well, Renko with a fantastic lap. Starting up pole position. FedEx, the AlphaTauri, in 2nd. His teammate, Dawidek, in 3rd. You have Waitsy in 4th. Championship leader Prime in 5th. Lenkovas in 6th. Lightning in 7th, Senna in 8th, Sarquinith in 9th, and Oosterveer rounds out the top 10. Then we have Wongfi in 11th, with both Red Bulls sitting 12th and 13th.
Excellent. Well, that was the fastest these guys can go in the dry, but now it's all about managing the speed and the grip through the wet conditions. It's at least from what we've been told from our drivers, unless someone is pranking us. Now, I don't know. Prime obviously got some excuses in ahead of the race tonight. There's the rain. So
there it is.
Bruised finger and mystery issue for Prime, perhaps causing problems for him tonight. But yeah, a 5th place, given those issues, will probably be quite good.
Yeah, and you know, this is one of those tracks where you have to race till the very end, because especially in the wet, you kind of have to expect that at least one person's going to make a mistake at some point.
Yeah, I think we'll be lucky to finish with a full complement of points finishes tonight.
Yeah, we saw a safety car, I think on lap 3, and at least 2 virtual safety cars in the Division 2 race yesterday.
Yeah.
So that was in full dry conditions. So full wet conditions could bring a whole host of other problems.
Yeah. Storm's saying that he ran with a wet setup. So I'd be very, very surprised if our top 3 manage those kind of times on wet setups.
Yeah, it'll. It's one thing that you do that is nice about driving in the full wet in Singapore. If anything is nice about driving in full wet in Singapore, is that you don't have to worry about strategy necessarily.
Right.
So that's a big part about driving here in the dry, is that the strategy is so crucial. Because if you get it wrong, you can really get slowed down by just trying to have to get around people.
Yeah.
So being able to not have to worry about that is a little bit.
Wongfi with some early donuts on the exit, I think, of turn 4. Got it wrong, using the runoff area there. Bruno is asking how many drivers will finish. So I think I'm going to say about 9 tonight.
I'm going to go with 8.
Okay. Bruno, what do you say? What does everybody else in the stream say? I don't think there's any prizes on offer at the moment, but it's interesting to have a go. Quinn says 5.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Right. Yeah. So Renko will take the pole position and the pole sitter's curse risk. You did mention zero strategy, but it is still it's still all about tyre management and keeping an eye on when the right time to pit is. If it's full wet, there won't be a change in conditions, but it's still about having the overall fastest race time.
Yeah, you still have, there's still tire wear here, even if it's in the wet.
Yeah.
And ideally you want to go for a one stop. So you do need to make sure that you are protecting your tires enough to make that one stop feasible.
Lightning just missed a corner and just managed to stop against the barrier. I don't think he's damaged the car, but he's got behind the train of drivers. It's been quite a dramatic formation that for several of our races, with Pete and Storm both being disqualified. Storm, if he is the only one on a full wet setup, has just compromised his start considerably by getting disqualified and having the cold tyre problem.
Yeah, Lightning is drifting it through the last sector, almost put it in the barrier. If this is any indication of how much grip there's going to be at the start of this race, the answer is none.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a mouth-watering prospect to watch our best Division 1 drivers tackle these atrocious conditions. I'm sure none of them are looking forward to the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, this track is just, it's something else in the wet like this. So we'll see if they're able to handle it. Now we get to see, the lights will be going, I guess.
We're good. I think the grid's going to go. It's lights out. It's go, go, go in Singapore. Celeritas Division 1. Renko away fairly well. I think that FedEx runner got a fantastic start. He's up the inside already. Renko taking to the outside of the track. That's not exactly fair. But FedEx with a great start. Dawadek dropping behind Waitsy, who typically does make really, really good starts with our league. Side by side, Haas and Prime and Dawadek, I think. Lightning consolidating up one position, I think, there. And as they head down the long straight for the first time. Yeah, it did look like Renko gained an advantage from that particular move, with Waitsy really, really close behind FedEx runner. Waitsy's got this setup nailed on. His tyres must be performing much nicer than the rest of the drivers.
Yeah, he's a fantastic start right there. Dawadek dropping into fourth, battled with Prime for a little bit, but was able to hold him off.
Yeah.
So far, we can see the top 7 really are all right next to each other.
Very little drama on the first few corners, which surprises me, to be honest. I was expecting a bit of carnage as they tackle the wet conditions for the first time.
Booster veer drops to the back. I don't know if that was a spin or not, but...
Right.
He has dropped considerably back. Storm is making his way up the field now, battling with Quineth.
There he goes, yeah, just passes Quinn, and is tucked up behind Senna. I think this setup's suiting Storm right now. Look at the rain driving almost horizontally across the top of the cockpit of Storm.
Flag is sector 3. That's Pete. He has spun.
Right.
Doesn't look like there's any damage. Oh no, never mind. I think he's missing an end plate.
Okay, it might be time to head to the pitch. You don't want to have less downforce around Singapore in the wet. I'm assuming, French. Storm gets at the inside of the Williams on the final corner, turns it round, and so does the Williams. Senna round into the wall. Maybe optimistic from Storm, but he had a lot more grip than Senna through there. We get a yellow flag, and hopefully we'll avoid safety car from there. It looks like Renko's ghosting for some reason, as FedEx is defending from Waitsy. I think Waitsy might have gone for a wet setup, or a better wet setup than the other drivers. Is that the other Alfa Romeo? Big problem behind from Lightning, who got it turned round.
The inside and just was a little bit too aggressive there. He tried to go down the inside of Dawadek.
Drama for Lightning through there. Yeah, he really couldn't make that move stick. It was an unusual place to pass there, Brian.
Yeah, there's a lot of places on this track where you might think you can make a move, but it's really better to just stick behind someone and wait for a better spot.
Yeah.
Dowdek had a look up at the inside of Waitsy there, going into the hairpin, but he thought better of it.
I'm glad in the middle of those tongue twisters I didn't end up calling you Blanche, actually.
Yeah, that.
But Prime driving with a bruised finger is in P3 right now. FedEx in P2, just behind Renko, and it looks like Renko is struggling around on these tyres at the moment. FedEx has got better grip, and I wonder if he's just gonna use that patience that you were suggesting, Prime, or Branch, and actually power past him.
Yeah, the thing about this race you have to remember is that it's a 31 lap race, and it's a wet race, so it's gonna take a lot longer for this race to finish than it would if we were in dry conditions. So there's really no point in being aggressive this early on.
So you're taking different lines now from FedEx runner, just trying to avoid running into the back, I think, of Renko, and that's a big danger. But now he's got Prime right behind him. So the one advantage you've got in defence right now in the wet is there's no DRS available.
Yeah, the DRS, missing that DRS is going to make it a little bit more difficult to pass, especially with those who are on dry setups will have the pace advantage down the straight. Even with ERS, I've noticed that sometimes if the person in front of you has a less downforce setup, you might not even be able to catch them with the ERS deployed. So
FedEx taking different lines. He's really like moving around in the mirrors of Renko, but the more different lines he takes, the more vulnerable he's going to be to an attack from Prime. And there he is, right up the, takes an inside run out of the hairpin. It looks like Prime's going to get him on traction. Yeah. So Prime takes P2. Waitsy looking greedy behind him. He wants the next opportunity, the next challenge for a podium. Our front five, Branch, driving really well. I mean, I could probably include Lankvas in that, on the front six. They're really far and away driving really high quality stuff. 0.5 to a second between all of them.
Yeah, they're sticking pretty well together right now. We haven't seen necessarily a lot of movement. Obviously, Prime has moved up to second place and is looking to probably get past Renko here pretty soon. As you see, Waitsy is also right on the back of FedEx. Yeah. Drifting through the last corner.
So did Prime, pushing hard, piling the pressure on. The trouble I have seen in recent weeks has been attempting to put pressure on someone in a league race rather than a real life race. Is the risk of running into the back of that person is much greater.
Yeah, it's just sometimes it can be pretty difficult, especially online, to judge where someone's going to break. Prime is going up the inside of Renko. Not a lot of space being given.
No, Renko was pretty aggressive there, just running him towards the wall. Prime gets the inside, but I think Renko's going to take the apex. Oh no, Prime had enough speed on the outside line. So Prime gets the job done, and let's watch Prime streak away now. I'm pretty sure he had a lot more pace.
Yeah, he seems to have the pace. He's already almost a second ahead of Renko. Just a couple corners after that happened.
So Renko is definitely holding this field up. I imagine you were about to say the same thing.
Yeah. He just does not seem to have the pace that he had, the pace advantage that he had in qualifying right now.
Yeah.
FedEx is still struggling to get around him now.
Looks like Dawidek had a bit of a traction moment there as well. Lost loads of distance to Waitsy. I think Dawidek might be. I think FedEx runner might be about to make a move. He's
trying
very close. Yeah, round the. Trying to go side by side, but he's just lost a bunch of ground. And here comes Waitsy. There's definitely only one car width. There's barely a car width through some of that stadium section, so it's follow your lead around here. FedEx closing in on Renko again, and possibly an opportunity down into turn one.
Yeah, pretty good traction there. His prime sets the fast
Oh,
stop of the
we've
race.
just seen Waitsy hit the wall and Dawadek
Whoa.
just avoid him. I don't know if Dawadek pushed Waitsy into the wall or not, but Lankovas looks like he's got the better of Waitsy. Who?
Pete.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
The bottom four seem to be really far away.
Yeah.
From the rest of the field. Even Easterger's almost 10 seconds behind Gwyneth.
Well, I know all four of those have had some kind of drama. We've seen all four have at least a half spin or a stoppage on an apex or something. So perhaps recovery, perhaps pit stops. I'll check in with see how many pit stops we've had. Yeah, they've all stopped, so that's why they're so far back. 2 stops, in fact, for Pete. Trying to find a set of wets that he likes. Oh, Lightning's gone. We say goodbye to Lightning, it looks like.
Yeah, I noticed he was in the barrier, and it looked like he very angrily backed out of the barrier into another barrier. So
right.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
Not preserving his wings or his suspension geometry. Oh dear. Okay, so FedEx just nudges Renko. Exactly what I was talking about earlier. It's so difficult to pressure a driver who's not as fast as you and avoid that rear ending.
The best thing you can do, I guess, is make sure that your proximity arrows, which is the arrow that shows the driver in front where you are in relation to them, make sure that thing is as lit up as possible.
Right.
But
as it will be right now. Look at this. He's almost on a tow rope through the final corner, and there he goes. Loses downforce on the way out, and can't make any headway because of the dirty and wet air behind Renko's car is really messing with his traction. Needs to take a different line. Needs to do a switchback or something.
That seems to be his Achilles heel right now, is just being able to get around Renko. He's absolutely beating him in the downforce sections, but he cannot seem to get the traction going onto the straights. He's got a little bit of a run here, but it does not seem like it'll be enough to pass. So the field is starting to spread out a bit. If you look farther down, Gwyneth and Wongfi are battling through Sector 2. But yeah, we haven't seen any of the front guys pit yet. I wouldn't expect to see them pit for quite a long time.
What's your estimate on these wet tyres?
The full wets, it's a bit interesting because I think all of them will be going for the one stop, so I would expect that they will probably want to go fairly long on this first stint.
Visibility under the bridge, riding on board with Gwyneth, it's appalling. He just rear ends Wongfi as well, to boot. So no good for him, but the visibility is appalling with the strobe lighting effect that you get in the rain with these LED lights. That was always the big concern, I know, even when they first mooted the idea of a wet race around Singapore, was how much it would light up the raindrops, and it really is pretty awful.
Yeah, it is an interesting effect that is created when that happens. It's just another little piece to add to the puzzle of this race. How difficult it can be when it's raining.
Yeah, I think FedEx is about to run into the back of him, isn't he? Again.
He ran into the back of him earlier as Dawadek gets the first penalty of those in the front of the race.
Interesting. Okay.
FedEx ran into the back of him going through the stadium section earlier. He is right on the back, trying his best to keep traction, and he cannot do it once again.
No, he just has to pick a different line to get out of these corners and onto the straights, because he's just not able to pick up the throttle in the dirty air at all.
I must say, fair play to Renko. He is defending extremely well. There hasn't been much illegal driving, I should say. I guess he has been ran into the back into the back of it a couple times, but with how slippery it is, I'm not surprised that has happened. There hasn't been any damage either, so
Yeah.
fair play to all the drivers. He is really, really making himself somewhat of a moving chicane.
Not that we're plugging anything.
Yeah, not that
at
we're
all.
not.
There's it's surprising really for Singapore that given it's a street track with Armco and concrete barriers everywhere, is this possibly a move? No, not quite. That it's difficult to. It's not actually. There are plenty of places, I should say, on track where you can trip the track limits, even though you've got these walls everywhere. Renko really made a mess of that corner. Went over the apex, and FedEx had to react. So no one getting by very well. I wonder if the tyres are starting to go already. Are they pushing hard enough to wear the wet tyres?
It's possible. I personally don't think. I think it might just be that it's so slippery that they just can't seem to get anything going in terms of traction. FedEx is still just trying his absolute best to get close to Renko. He just cannot do anything. Maybe
Just watching, it must be awful watching Prime, who started like 5th, I think, like just walking away from the rest of the field as everyone is stuck behind Renko. Prime's got an 11.6 second lead in 8 laps.
Far quicker than Renko. It seems like FedEx got a pretty good exit there. He might be able to make the pass. He has a slight run.
Trying to get the slipstream. This could be it for FedEx.
Side by side.
Looks pretty good. It looks pretty good from both of them, but Renko knows that giving the inside this way will get advantageous around this corner. I think this is going to be done for FedEx here. This is the right kind of line. FedEx just about holds on, and these guys treated each other very well on track.
And that was respectful racing right there.
Yeah. FedEx now needs to avoid that temptation to push too hard, because he wants to show his top pace, doesn't he?
I wonder if he has the pace to catch Prime here.
Yeah.
But if anything, he's probably just going to want to get as far away from Renko as humanly possible.
Yeah. That's the number one order of the day, isn't it? I think Storm's getting himself lapped, so the full wet setup hasn't done a great deal for him. Because Pete has in fact DNF'd and retired from the session, so joining Lightning in the cooldown room. Renko, penalty, taking too many apexes it looks like, so I guess that's equal penalties to Dawidek now. 13.9. FedEx is not managing to catch Prime here at all.
Yeah, he is definitely pulling away from Renko though. You can tell already with the 1.5 second gap.
Yeah.
He's definitely the faster, and now you wonder if his teammate's going to be able to do the same. Renko did a great job of defending right there, but now he's going to have to defend from the other AlphaTauri. Dawidek not necessarily known for being super aggressive on track, so I wouldn't expect any heinous moves.
True.
But I would still expect him to want to get around as quick as possible.
Yeah, we're going to be giving a lot of airtime to the McLaren sponsors tonight, I think, as everybody takes 4 or 5 laps to get past Renko. Prime did it in maybe 1 or 2, didn't he? But
yeah, it didn't take Prime too long to get around these guys.
You see a bit of opposite lock from Dawidek there in the rain.
Lankabas is caught up a little bit. He was a little bit farther back.
Yeah.
He's now on the back of Dawidek.
Storm's gone. Yeah, Storm. I'm sure he would have done that in the pits, but yeah, we lose Storm sadly. But he was just getting lapped on lap 9, so that's going to do a number on your motivation, isn't it?
Yeah, I would expect. So, Waitsy's now caught up. So this is really showing the pace of Renko right now.
Or lack thereof, yeah.
Or lack thereof. Everyone is catching up to him now. The question is how quickly can they get around it?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Completely agree.
At the end of the day, he doesn't have to let anyone by. He's defended well. He hasn't been overly aggressive in keeping his position. he's given respect to the other
Yeah.
drivers, but they have to get around him.
In a sense, he has to make a mistake in order to allow someone past. So he doesn't need to
He's
defend
going
too
into
much.
pits?
He is, yeah. So he's decided that's enough. Another penalty for him, and that was the deciding factor possibly. And Dawidek will breathe a sigh of relief. Lankavas will wonder if he's got what it takes to get by Dawidek, but he's gonna have to deal with Waitsy behind, who's managed to stay closer than anybody else in this section.
Renko had damage there, as he replaces his front wing in the pits.
That could be explaining his pace then at this whole first stint.
It's possible. We'll see if he picks it up at all.
Yeah.
He will have pretty clean air to work with, which I mean, to be fair, he had clean air earlier, but
yeah,
it's really good to come out.
A lack of distractions, perhaps, yeah, for him. He had sort of dirty air because he was looking in his mirrors a lot of the time, I imagine.
Yeah. I wonder if he's going to be able to make those tires last to the end of the race. Is I guess the only question we have.
I mean, it may be that he does a two-stop race for confidence. I don't know if these drivers are going to try and get through to like 15, 16 and equidistant the race, because the rain's not going to let up.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be letting up at all.
Nice touch there in the grandstands with perhaps only half the crowd using umbrellas. That will be the local crowd. It's walking around Singapore. It's amazing how bright and beautiful a day you can be walking around. Absolutely every local has an umbrella with them, so they know the game. Lankavas makes a big mistake, and that's going to lake Waitsy up the inside. Lankavas tries to hold on. He's going to get a penalty if he uses that line without letting off, and Waitsy gets by. Waitsy was switched onto that branch.
Yeah, he saw that and was immediately ready for it. They were side by side for a little bit there, but Waitsy did not really leave any room. Didn't really have to.
No.
As he was ahead, and Lankavas was pretty much behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. So. And he wasn't aggressive in any way, but he just put his car where he wanted to put it and left it up to Lankavas to find his own way around the circuit.
Yeah, however, Lankavas does seem to be catching him a little bit here on the straight.
Yeah. Waitsy gives him the inside, but he's not managed to overlap enough. So, should be that Waitsy can get away now. Great shot on the camera, on the helicopter camera, where you see the way that the track almost rejoins itself at the two opposing corners in the middle and end of the track. Very nice.
Yeah, this track it may be one of the hardest tracks on the game, but I will say it's a very fun track to drive.
It's full of very different challenges, isn't it? Very, it's there's a little bit of everything, and there's a lot of things that you don't often see elsewhere. So, yeah, an absolute unique jewel in the calendar.
Yeah, it has somewhat of the Monaco appeal, if you would say.
Yeah.
And that there isn't necessarily a lot of passing, but the spectacle of flying through these city streets as quick as you possibly can is one to behold.
Prime's entertaining himself, gets another fastest lap, extends his lead to 18 seconds at the front of the race. I think Prime's just having fun now.
Yeah, he is absolutely the quickest on track. Most likely, he probably had a wet setup in qualifying if he was only able to go 5th fastest.
Yeah.
I really wonder how many of these guys did put on a wet setup and how many didn't.
Well, that'd be my first question if we manage to talk to any of them at the end. I wonder if Storm will have a chat with us. I don't know if Lightning will, but yeah, I wonder if they'll stop by and have a chat, because it'd be interesting to talk to them and see how the car was handling. Otherwise, I do think those bottom 4 or 5 drivers, they're all involved in incidents. For those on the stream that are counting, we are down to 10. So we have a full complement of points positions right now. But it could be that our drivers, you know, their focus and their concentration starts to wane. It's a long old race for them, and just that effect that Branch was talking about, that hypnotic Monaco kind of mesmerizing effect of, you know, watching these drivers do amazing driving lines, consistent times over so long. They can easily make a mistake at any point.
Yeah, this and just as a driver having to deal with this track, it's grueling because you think about how long they've been racing so far, and we're only a third of the way through the race.
Right.
As much as there is a cap on the mental side of racing here in terms of being on the game versus in real life, because obviously there's a lot more to go into it if you're racing a real car versus an F1 2020. But just that, his rank goes out of the race.
Oh, interesting. What happened?
I don't know.
No.
It looks like it might have been in the pits. No, he was in sector 2. There's a safety car.
Safety car. Now that's what we wanted. That's what we wanted.
I was gonna point something out. I was gonna point out that we haven't seen anything like that yet.
Dawidek makes a pit stop, Branch. He was just in time at the line there to pit. Waitsy and Lankavas follow him in, but that means FedEx Runner and Prime will go round without pitting. So FedEx gets the cheap pit stop, and let's hope that. I know he said in an earlier spell on the forum this week on our Discord server that he has he's put his differences between him and Bern Mailander behind him. The curse is crushed, and he can now race with a safety car without fear of it ending his race every time. So.
That's good to hear.
Let's hope so, because he's really taken advantage of this particular opportunity, and I don't think that window was open to Prime and possibly FedEx.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think he'll necessarily be able to drive around at full speed. I think the game will still be asking him to keep it under a time delta.
Yeah.
But this could mean that he might be able to get past Prime and FedEx if they decide to pit when they go around.
It's interesting that they will be driving, as you say, to a delta, but that still gives him the advantage of a cheap pit stop. The safety car was waiting on the exit of turn 3, and I could see Dawidek was possibly in two minds. He double-checked that green light. Prime's coming in. He, I'm sure, will be awake to the fact that Dawidek pitted behind him. So it will be interesting to see whether Dawidek has leapfrogged FedEx through this exchange. I wonder what FedEx does as well. No real advantage to not pitting now, I presume, Branch. This is about perfect.
I would say this is almost guaranteed that if you don't pit here, it is a mistake.
Right.
Especially with where we are in the race, just about a little bit close to halfway through. With the way that these wet weather tires work, you really do want to go in right now. FedEx in the pit, Dawidek coming into the last little section of corners here. I don't know if he's going to be able to make the pass on his teammate. It looks like FedEx will get out ahead of him.
Okay, especially if Dawidek continues to drift the car into the last corner. It's coming down the start-finish straight now. One interesting point to mention is I just watched Prime on the way out of the pits completely cross the white line before the curb section. So FedEx does get out ahead of Dawidek, as you rightly point out. But if anyone does watch the stream back in time for the incident reports, they might be able to report Prime for crossing that line. It is against the Celeritas rules.
Yeah, there wasn't necessarily anything put out before this race, but when we did the Formula C race, Storm made a specific point to point out the pit entrance specifically.
Okay.
And just say, like, hey, you need to make sure that you are entering the pits at the correct time and not going over that curbing.
Yeah.
And you would have to assume that the same sentiment would be placed on the pit exit as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised it didn't trip a penalty. I guess he might have got a warning that we won't have seen. But yeah, it's certainly interesting. So yeah, any of the drivers who watch this back might. Well, I think one of them is actually listening in at least right now. So.
Well, Senna gets a penalty under. Oh, it looks like he actually might have. Oh, he's out of the race.
Okay. So yeah, one of those sort of angry runs into the pits. We lose Senna. Did one of our drivers just join us? Hi, is that Lightning? Looked like a dramatic race from your seat tonight. Good stuff. We saw you. Was it Dawodet? You tried to get up the inside on an unconventional part of the track and ended up just pointing at the pointing at the wall. Talk us through that. Yeah. 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 What happened after that point? You seem to be sort of. Go ahead. Three crashes. Yeah. Branch saw you not happily reversing the car into a barrier to try and get the car turned back round the right way. Would that be fair? Yeah. Yeah. So not the most successful gaming few hours for you tonight. Were you expecting that at Singapore, or were you hoping for a better result? Right. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. And your setup tonight. What decision did you make? That's one way of going about it. Presumably you might regret that and change for next time. No? Okay. Yeah. Well. There's the spirit. That's what we want to hear. C'est la vie, says driver at the end of the season. Any questions from you, Branch?
I don't think so. No, you pretty much asked all the questions I had.
Okay, sorry about that. I don't know. Have you heard of this Pete character before? We seem to first time we've seen them. Ah, a friend of a friend. Right. Okay. Interesting. Did you get a look at anything that was happening a bit further ahead of you tonight? It looked like Renko was making life very difficult for people to get past. Yeah. I think he's had some damage, or at least he was repairing some damage, so it may be he was compromised a little bit. Yeah. Indeed. We look like we're going round again for the next one. Will you be able to get plenty of practice in this week for the next race on the calendar? Okay. Be driving on your instincts then. So next week is the penultimate race this season, and we go to Austria. Not the most difficult of tracks, yeah. Good. Okay. Well, best of luck for next time, and I'm sure you'll be cheering on Waitsy tonight. Talk to you soon. Thanks for stopping by. Cheers, Lightning. So Bruno's saying in the chat we're only one driver dropping out away from his bet of 7 finishes, and we've got the post-safety car cold tyre section to come, Branch.
Yeah, Oosterveer was so far back. I believe he was almost 2 minutes back of the next closest driver. So he is holding them up by just trying having to catch up in the wet because even though he can drive at full speed to catch up to them, it's still difficult to drive around in this circuit. I think we may have to do one lap after this one unless he's able to catch them.
Yeah, 48 seconds still. Yeah.
They're almost into sector 3 at this point.
Absolutely. Looks like Lankovas maybe got by Waitsy in the pit cycle there. So that's interesting. Who's your pick to maximise the green light lap? Oh, I've just seen Dawidek brush the wall trying to warm up the tyres. I wonder if he got any damage.
I was gonna say Dawidek, but
okay.
I guess that yeah, he's missing an end plate. So
oh, yeah, problem for Dawidek, especially with yeah, there's that right side end plate has gone, especially with his penalty as well. To factor in. Don't really need to be looking at tyres tonight because everybody's on the same age wet tyres. Everybody pitted under the safety car. But penalty-wise, Dawidek and Quinn are the ones with 3-second penalties. So Prime will become the new safety car very shortly and allow the safety car to disappear off to the distance. In fact, he doesn't do any of those things. Yeah, he's just going to slow. Okay.
No.
Sorry about that. We're about to get going again. Looks like Prime hits the throttle pedal. It was a weird restart because I was watching from the perspective of FedEx, who really seemed to mess that up. Go ahead.
This happened to me in the practice race. When the safety car goes in like that, if you don't wait for it to go into the pits, when you try and go before that last corner, it will actually slow you down.
Right.
So I think what happened was that Prime went to start, and then the game slowed him down, and FedEx had to react.
Look at Waitsy up to P3 after that green light. That green light lap has got 2 drivers. Obviously Dawidek driving hurt, but he also got past Lankovas. So Waitsy on fire, Dawidek defending. I'm not sure whether it's worth it for him if he's headed towards the pits, but both Lankovas, the Ferrari driver of Wangfi, trying to get by. Dawidek in the wall, loses the other end plate. Now, Wangfi was aggressive, but frankly, should Dawidek not just let these guys go?
I don't know. That was a bit weird to me. I couldn't tell really what happened there.
Yeah.
So if it was me, I probably would have pitted when they went past the start-finish straight.
Right. Well, Dawidek trying to recover from his disastrous couple of laps. Just before the safety car comes in, he knocks one end plate off, then fighting with other drivers who are clearly faster than him. He's also probably going to be suffering from cold tyres now. Wangfi tags his rear wheel and he knocks the other end plate off at least. So, disastrous lap, really. Maybe 2 laps from Dawidek, who goes from P3 with a penalty down to P7, and he now needs to make a pit stop. Looks like Oostevere didn't have to catch completely up to the train because he's still got a 16-second delta to Dawidek, but he'll get past him in the pit shortly.
Normally the game makes the last car catch up, but I guess they were just, I don't know, fed up with him not being there.
Yes. Okay, you've had 5 laps now.
Highlander just wasn't quite feeling it.
Yeah. Waitsy, I think Waitsy is looking pretty good right now. P3. FedEx has got a penalty, Branch. I didn't pick that up.
Oh wow, I didn't see that either.
And a yellow in sector 1.
I think that's Ooster here.
Okay, yeah, and he DNFs. Are we gonna get another caution period?
He retired in the pits, so I think that's what's up for some reason. Okay. When you retire in the pits, it puts a yellow flag on the circuit. I
guess that's true if your pit box is past the start finish line. Yeah, I guess that makes kind of sense in a Codemastery type of way.
Yeah.
Apply Codemaster logic here. But Prime's getting away 1.9 seconds from FedEx, who's got a 3-second penalty and a Waitsy behind him. with a gap of 1.6. Lankavas probably getting within range of FedEx's penalty, especially if Waitsy does manage to cost him some time battling. But it doesn't look like FedEx is going to be able to challenge Prime tonight.
Yeah, it just looks like Prime has the pace advantage, at least right now. There isn't a tire advantage at all for any of them, so it's just outright pace at this point.
Wang Fei looking very racy against Quinn. I think he's got better pace and possibly a more suited car to these current conditions, because Wang Fei tucked up behind Quinn. Quinn pits. Not quite sure why Quinn would pit right now, unless he caught some damage, maybe. He's already pitted once, so let's see as he goes into the pits. What's the plan? Yeah, front wing change for Quinn and a penalty serving. Okay, so that might help out Dawidek. He'll certainly be closer within range right now.
Yeah.
But we're not seeing quite the same level of pace difference with Prime as we did in the early part of the race. I wonder, is he preserving those tyres to get them to the end, or struggling to warm them up?
Say, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say they are going more than half the race at this point on this set of tires, so it's not at all a bad idea to make sure that you will get them to the end. And, you know, FedEx behind him also has a penalty, so there isn't as much of an incentive for him to battle.
Right. Easy though for our drivers to make a mistake in the latter half of this race. How tiring is the focus requirement here around Singapore? It must be one of the most maximum.
I'll say this much: I had to take a nap after the race yesterday. If I don't know if that's just me, but I definitely needed a nap after yesterday's race.
Yeah.
It's grueling.
Would you say kind of doubly so with the rain and the visibility?
I would absolutely say that, yeah, because just the amount of focus you have to keep the car on the track every single lap after lap after lap. It is tiring. So,
yeah. Sometimes I find in Singapore it is a little bit difficult to keep the mental map of the track running in your head, and obviously they help sometimes with placing specific sponsor hoardings and colour schemes dotted throughout the track, but sometimes it can be difficult on these concrete barrier tracks to actually remember where you are.
Yeah, and you know, just another factor to add to this track is that it's such a downforce heavy track that there's a lot of low-speed corners, and low-speed corners don't bode well in the wet because those low gears are the car is so snappy.
Yeah.
That you really have to know exactly how much grip your car has, and that just adds to the amount of focus that you need to keep going here.
Well, FedEx not giving much of a margin on the way out off the Anderson Bridge. It's a difficult place to get the car turned round, but it does require you to get pretty close to these walls. It's a bit scary when you look at it from certain camera angles.
Yeah, that when you're really hooked up in a lap, the right side of that bridge as you go to the braking zone, for the hairpin, you're basically kissing it essentially. I could probably reach my hand out and it would break a finger if I did that. So you really there's so little margin for error.
Absolutely.
It's another challenge of this track.
Yeah. Sadly, having walked virtually the entire track on a race weekend, there isn't really a place on the Singapore track where you can get close enough to the cars like you can in Monaco. They've kind of positioned the barriers and the walkways, and they herd everybody in a very efficient and highly manned way. Whereas when you look at some of the coverage from Monaco, it's a bit of a different story. Certainly with people with press passes can get crazy close, but yeah, you really can't get very well very close to the track itself. You have to use the grandstands and the overpasses.
Yeah, obviously we aren't in the 1960s anymore, where you could essentially stand on the track as a spectator and the cars drive around you. But we've come a long way in terms of that. But at Monaco, you can still get pretty close. Spectators, as some have seen on TV.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that most people who watch this stream have never actually been to Monaco.
Maybe not. It's not cheap, is it? I think I think it's possible to pitch a tent on the outskirts of Nice and catch the train in and things like that. And there is one kind of public bank you can sit at, but it's a bit of a bucket list item for me, is to get to Monaco one day for race weekend. But gonna have to be a lot more successful in any of my endeavours to try and make that happen. Wacy loses it on screen. Tyres died off, lost it on traction, couldn't get the car corrected and smashed into the barrier. So I dare say Wacy's going to be headed into the pits if he wants to rescue the chance of a podium, but that might be podium kiss goodbye for Wacy, sadly.
Yeah, with just about 10 or 11 to 10 laps left to go, he could maybe try and limp around, but Lightning's not very happy about that.
No.
Yeah, there goes Wacy into the pits.
Yeah, Lightning's still tuned in, which is great to support everybody else. Sends Branch and I a message, which will just appear as a big giant black rectangle on the stream. But yeah, it was one word, and it had a lot of O's in it. So when he saw his teammate crash, quite fortunate from a broadcast perspective to actually catch that. When drivers lose it on their own, it's very rare to catch it. Wong Fei driving well though. Wong Fei up to 4th. This is a good showing from him. I know he's a relatively recent addition to the Celeritas League. So
Yeah, he also raced in Division 2 yesterday.
He's Division 2 as well. So he's active reserving, is he?
Yes.
He just managed to rub the ball just as we tune in to watch him on the helicopter cam. So. We're not giving the drivers a lot of luck by following them around at the moment.
Dowdek seems to be closing up to the back of Gwyneth, trying to make a recovery here.
So looking for those AlphaTauri points, which will be all important. Every point they can gain against the solo Haas driver of Prime will hopefully bring AlphaTauri that championship that they've been pushing hard for. And certainly, I think one of the best teamwork examples in the league, Branch.
Yeah, they see, in terms of just, if you look up and down, especially in Division 1, they seem to be the strongest all-around team of anyone. I would say probably in Division 2, the McLarens absolutely are strong. As Ben and Diddle are pretty much almost a guarantee for a 1-2 finish at some races.
I don't know how much they are training together and helping each other as much as just pushing each other really hard.
Yeah.
I get the impression Felix and Dowdek are genuinely bring each other's standards higher. But yeah, here he goes. He's still trying to get him. I don't know if he'll get it done. I mean, obviously, I'm casting no aspersions on Moving Chicane Motorsport and the teamwork that team portray. Not that I know any of the behind the scenes stuff.
If I'm being honest, the way that the chicane works is I tell Ivan and Pinty who's racing, and they race.
So it's a dictatorship in Moving Chicane Motorsport this season. Creators' rights. I like it. Now Dowdek can't make much headway. He's just tucked up. We'll keep watching them because there's no other battles to watch. But at what point does he get frustrated? How many laps do you give it?
I feel like he's probably frustrated now. The fact
right
that he's just
there he goes, hits the wall.
End plate gone.
You're kidding. Has he lost yeah. It's effectively any contact with the wall. Here he goes. He's going to try and make use of that extra top speed, though, all the same. Gets ahead, but can he stay ahead with reduced downforce in the rain in Singapore? He's clearly got more pace with full downforce quotient, but I don't know. Time will tell. How long does it take to just adjust your driving around, you know, the left turns, for example, with a right end plate missing?
Well, speaking on personal experience, because yesterday I did actually put myself into the barrier near the end of the race and tried to make it to the end with it. And the answer is you cannot.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
And that was in fully dry conditions, and this is full wet conditions.
Right.
So it's going to be difficult. I think he'll be able to hold off Gwyneth. If he was trying to push to catch maybe Waitsy, I think that ship has sailed with the contact.
It's lap 24 of 31. Current gaps. We've got Prime from FedEx, 7 seconds gap. Lankavas is 12 seconds further down the road. Wang Fei 7 or 8 behind him. Then Waitsy a long way back with that extra pit stop he had to make with the damage. Dowdek is 17 seconds further back. Gives up the chance to pit again and get that damage repaired because he's managed to pull a second away from Quinn even with the damage. So nothing much to gain by making a pit stop for Dowdek if he can outpace the car behind him. And the big question though really here is, will Gwyneth make the end of the race? Because this is the furthest into a race I think Gwyneth has made it for at least half a dozen races at Celeritas.
Yeah, I guess at this point, you'd have to think that it's almost a hindrance if you were to quit out of a race at this point, because even though he is the last of the finishers, he's still getting a decent amount of points.
Right.
To staying where he is. And as for Dowdek pitting, if this were dry conditions, I would kind of understand a little bit if he wanted to pit right now and go onto soft tires.
Yeah.
Because he would absolutely have a pace advantage. But with it being full wets, he would just go on to another set of wets, possibly use set. I don't know how many sets they actually have.
No, so, I don't know if a league race actually counts the tire allocation.
It actually does, because when I had to pit at the end of the race in Division 2, I had to choose between a new set of softs or a used set of hards.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So they've managed to replicate that, but I was thinking earlier about an element that they simply haven't. That's right. The ability in real life, you can change your downforce levels front and back if a wet race is declared, but you can't do that in the game.
Only do the front, I think.
Yeah, so it's kind of it's a weird rule to miss out there, as Quinn gets a penalty now on 14 seconds of penalties for Quinn. Again, not particularly unusual. I think has been my learning so far watching Quinn race this season of Celeritas. He's full send, shall we say, and damn the consequences. Yeah, so the gap's really quite big. We'll just sort of cycle through our drivers in turn on the stream. I'll go to Waitsy and hope some action happens from one of the drivers as we happen to be watching them. Waitsy's on pretty good tyres though. Imagine he's been once bitten, twice shy when it comes to getting through these conditions without hitting the wall.
He does seem to be making a little bit of headway on Wang Fei, and with Wang Fei's penalty, he has a little bit less time that he needs to make up. With the amount of time in the race, I don't think he will be able to catch him, but it is still something to pay attention to.
Prime seems to be starting to stretch his legs a little bit as well, up to 9.5 seconds gap there to FedEx, who has a 6-second penalty, which is immaterial given his gap to Lankavas. Really surprising how much the gaps have opened up, Branch, after that safety car.
After the safety car, it really just almost immediately spread out. Dowdek in his moment of hitting the wall, kind of separated the top and the bottom, but then pretty much everyone created their own gaps. At this point, there isn't really anyone racing for position.
No, despite all the penalties and the damage that certain drivers have had, pit stop differences, tyre age, and the rain, there's not a lot of of peril, should we say, on the track at the moment to commentate on. It's still, remarkable to watch these drivers circulate just as it is in real life, either here or at Monaco. We haven't seen Vietnam yet in real life, so it's difficult to comment on that one. But
yeah, that track, I hate it personally in this game. I would love to see them race around that track in real life. Unfortunately, with the fact that it was cut out of not only the 2020 schedule but also the 2021 schedule, I'm worried if that track is ever actually going to see the light of day. But I do hope that next year we are able to go there. And I mean, it is kind of an interesting prospect, the fact that F1 is pushing for more street circuits, as we obviously we've seen Jeddah join the calendar this year near the end of the season. Next year we're going to see a second US race in Miami. So it is pretty interesting to start seeing F1 move somewhat in that direction. I don't know if I'm necessarily for it.
I think there are better circuits around the world that we could be racing in. There's permanent facilities in so many countries that we really should be able to watch. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you could make an argument that tracks like Korea, Russia, they all have a very similar concrete temporary wall structure sort of feel to them as Singapore here, as Jeddah will. I presume Miami will be exactly the same as the racing around a car park and a stadium, effectively. Yeah,
and you also wonder, they wanted a second U.S. race, and the talks with Miami have been dating back to almost like 2016, 2017, and the layout of the circuit now is not at all the same as it was originally proposed. It's almost completely different. But you have to wonder, like, there's so many good American tracks that they could have gone to. Laguna Seca is one that I think of. I would love to see F1 cars go through the corkscrew at Laguna Seca. Or
over it, potentially. I think.
Over it, yeah.
I can see them clearing air over the crest of the top of the corkscrew.
You also think of, like, Sonoma, Watkins Glen.
Yeah.
Road America.
I like Road America a lot. I got a lot of time for that one. And Long Beach is kind of a unique example. And for me, I'd love to see them go around an oval. I don't know. What's your opinion on seeing an F1 car run an oval?
I feel like it's probably too dangerous.
Yeah.
We've seen IndyCar is like I forgot there was an F1 driver who mentioned that any IndyCar driver who decides to race on an oval is effectively insane, because it's so dangerous to race open wheel cars going that fast. I mean, you look at the Indy qualifying. I think Scott Dixon's average speed was like 238 miles an hour. Am I wrong in that?
No, I think that sounds about right. But why would it be more dangerous for F1 than an IndyCar?
Because IndyCar is a little bit different in the fact that every team is given a chassis, and there's only 2 engine suppliers. But these F1 teams, they are so innovative that I feel like they would almost make the cars too fast at an oval track. Okay.
So you think the balance of power kind of Dallara chassis is a limiting factor in terms of their cornering speed and in terms of slipstream ability and things like that?
Yeah, I think that definitely has a role to play.
And they run a very different setup, don't they? They have straight wings and different
Yeah,
orientation of the geometries just to run the ovals.
yeah. There was a great YouTube video. I can't remember the name of the guy that did it. He did a video talking about how F1 would compare to Indy at an oval, and he was talking about how just the way that IndyCar sets their cars up for an oval would absolutely dominate and just a pure F1 car if you were to just take
Yeah,
a current F1 car and put it on oval, just because of the way the suspension works. They would have to change the way the suspension works. They would have to change the way the camber works in the car. Yeah, there would have to be so many changes you'd have to make to the F1 car. But like a team like Mercedes, I think would be able to create a car that is far superior to any Indy car if
What
they
about
were given.
something like Richmond, where it's a short oval?
Richmond would be that would be fairly interesting. I think that would probably be a little safer
Yeah,
because you would you I like Richmond would be interesting. Bristol would be
right.
something I'd like to see.
Definitely,
But
yeah.
I don't know if Bristol's big enough necessarily to make passes. Richmond is though. So yeah, Martinsville also that would be pretty interesting because there's no banking in Martinsville.
Right. Okay. Yeah. A little bit of action. Wang Fee's just got by Lankavas. Wang Fee might be headed towards the podium here. If he can pull away from Lankavas, and Lankavas is struggling, I think Lankavas got some damage. That's why that came out of nowhere. Look, he can't get around the corners. He's in the runoff area. I think he might have hit the wall. Sadly, I didn't pick that one up, but yeah, that's why he's losing so much time. So bad night for Racing Point. Waits, he's trying to get up the inside, but we've seen accidents happen already tonight with drivers who are driving around with compromised damage and grip levels. But Waitsy gets by as well. Waitsy will be surprised as anyone to be back in 4th place, Branch.
He could, and I was gonna say he could possibly make a run at Wang Fei to possibly get into the penalty window and put himself in the 3rd place. But I don't think there is enough time with 2 laps left to go.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've meandered off topic, but I hope the stream will forgive us because
There wasn't much action.
there's not a lot of action going on. Yeah. Credit to the drivers. Credit to, of course, Prime and FedEx for. It's not their fault that it's not been entertaining or hard fought, but yeah, it's a big ask to get a good race out of 13 drivers in the wet in Singapore.
Yeah, you can't really blame drivers for not making the race entertaining because at the end of the day, it's their job to do their best.
Yeah.
So there's no real point in asking them to not do their best.
No, absolutely. I mean, Prime isn't going to slow down. It's prime time after all. FedEx is going to go on the hunt, and if someone gets in their way, they're going to try and deal with it as quickly as possible. It's not about creating artificial racing. But look, Waitsy has really caught Wang Fei, Branch. 3.7 now. It's really. Do you think Wang Fei got damage as well? I'm just going to look at his car closely. No, nothing obvious. So really, the damage on our settings are limited to pretty much one front wing, right? We don't really see anything much, and maybe a front wheel will come off on a Dower deck, nudging a barrier, but we really don't tend to see anything other than that.
Yeah. I think maybe the pace advantage could be that Waitsy is on 9-lap newer tires than Wang this deep into the race, I'm not at all surprised if the tires are starting to fall off. I personally don't have enough experience with how the wet tires work here to know if they really do fall off like that this deep into the race. But Waitsy is already inside of that penalty window.
There we go. Wang Fei gets another one. So game over for the podium. Bruno is calling in the chat that he bet 7 finishes early on, and so fair play to him. He did call that one. Certainly better than I think I said 9, didn't I? And you said 8.
I said 8, yeah.
Yeah. So well done, Bruno. Prime is coming through to finish the race. It's no guarantees. The rain is still thrashing around the streets of Singapore.
Yeah. Yesterday in the Division 2 race, I had just been lapped by Diddle. We came out of that hairpin section, and I came out of it to see Diddle facing the wrong way.
Wow.
So, no, you must race to the very end. Diddle almost, I think, if I remember correctly, Carrera was just behind Diddle at the end of the race. So had there been another lap, Diddle probably would have lost
Wow.
the race. So you do need to keep your wits about you, especially right up to the end of the race, with how grueling it's been. If we take a look at the time, I mean, they've been racing for almost an hour at this point.
Yeah. Well, Prime goes through the stadium section for the last time. He'll be relieved, I think, to see the back of this race. I'm sure that driving a lonely race at the front has been tough on the concentration. Prime wins, bruised or broken finger and all. The fireworks start all over the place, and Prime takes the Singapore win. I'm sure that means Prime takes the championship for the drivers. But down the road, FedEx runner's going to cross the line for AlphaTauri in second place. Waitsy with a fair old gap. We've got a while to talk about Waitsy's race, but it's been dramatic. It's been damage strewn, accidents. He's been in the pits to mend damage. Obviously, he saw the safety car, and he's been able to catch right back up and get this car virtually on the podium. We're just waiting for the last few corners. I don't want to speak too soon for him, but a good drive branch from Waitsy here, I think.
Yeah, he definitely had a good recovery. Obviously, it's a little bit easier with less drivers, but still, just being able to make his way back up there.
What's interesting is he managed to cross the line ahead of Wang Fei. I think Wang Fei's got like tyres that have died, or no, he has hit the wall. He's definitely hit the wall. He's got virtually no left front wing. Wang Fei, good showing. Second night on the trot with Celeritas. One of our reservists gets fourth place for Ferrari. Good points for Italy tonight, Branch. For the Italian manufacturers anyway, not drivers. We've got Lankavas coming round. This is how far the game has spread. I think we might time out soon. Lankavas, 5th place in the Racing Point. Dawadek is weaving all over the track. I think he knows we're likely to be watching him at this point. How long do the fireworks keep running for, Branch? Do they get frustrating?
I think they're gone now.
Yeah, not in real life, I tell you. I got down off the grandstand to go and catch the Red Hot Chili Peppers gig, and I missed all the fireworks because we were underneath all the grandstands walking down towards the end. Well, there's Wang Fei, driver of the day. Good showing from him, really good showing.
I'm surprised Prime didn't get it.
Yeah, I mean, he started 5th and took the win, so you'd think that would carry some sort of premium, but the only trophy he cares about is the one he's holding. Prime takes the champagne, and there's FedEx runner. We've got Finland, Switzerland and Great Britain on the podium. Great Britain and USA in the commentary box.
Yep. We
briefly heard from a Portuguese resident as well, but congratulations to Prime, brilliant stuff. So finishing order, Branch, if you will.
Yeah, so in terms of the people who actually finished the race, we have Prime in first, followed by FedEx and Waitsy to round out the podium. Wang Fei started in 11th, finished 4th, and then Lankovas in the Racing Point, Dawadek in the AlphaTauri, and then Sir Quineth in the Racing Point, or the last of the finishing racers. And then for those who DNF, we have Oosterveer, Senna, Renko, Storm, Pete, I guess, and Lightning.
Absolutely. Well, we will try and speak to Prime. Can I suggest? It's been a long stream, so if you need to get onto something else, Branch, it's not a problem. But yeah, we'll try and speak to Prime if he's just taken the championship, and it might be limited to that tonight. It's been very long. There's not a lot to talk about.
Yeah. I'll see if I can get him.
Thank you. I think he's pretty happy. with that result as well. So probably a good guy to speak to. Well, yeah, we appreciate all the info you've been able to give us, the chats that you've given us on the stream. If you've got questions for Prime, let me know on the stream. If you've got messages for him, and we'll hopefully get to talk to him any minute.
Well, I do actually have something that I have to go attend to, but
No problem.
it was fun commentating this race. I will see you later.
Thanks so much, Branch. Good to talk to you, and good to have you on the stream again.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, we'll wait a moment to see if Prime can show up. I hope he can. He's been invited, so we'll wait and see. You'll hopefully drivers are all putting up their hands to have a chat. I may speak with Waitsy because that was quite a dramatic race, all told. Quinn finished. Pricey is obviously watching along or managing to track the Discord at least, and and Prime is the first one to congratulate Quinn for finishing a race. Hey, if you're gonna wait to finish a race, might as well be Singapore. Am I right? So hopefully we'll get Prime. I will invite Waitsy as well because he had quite the drama tonight. Looks like Prime is on his way. Just give me 1 second, Prime. I will get back on the stream any second, and then everyone will be able to hear your voice. Prime, a great win from 5th place, but more importantly, it looks like we have a champion.
Yes! And with the great way I fought for the title. Yes!
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we like to see. You're obviously very happy. That was. It looked like you were driving. It sounded like you were driving through some adversity tonight as well.
Yeah, I did. Well, this race was very tough for me, in many particular ways. Like my right front finger is broken because of yesterday's football game I was playing. As a goalkeeper, so I had to battle with the wet race strategy and with my front finger. So it was a tough one, but I was preparing for the Singapore and especially for the wet weather because I love racing in Singapore, especially in the wet.
Oh, great!
And I love wet weather in general.
It looked like it. It looked like you were having a lot of fun out there. A little bit of a difficulty getting past Renko at the early stages, but we lost our leader, I think, at that stage, and from that point on, you didn't look back really.
I guess Renko was on the dry setup.
Right.
Because he was also struggling as Davidek and FedEx was.
Yeah.
So I was on the wet setup because FedEx is asking FedEx is asking on DMS that was I in wet setup, and correct, I was in wet setup.
That was a great qualifying time for a wet setup.
Was it?
I think so. I think so. I think that's very, very good.
All right. Because I went with 9 front wing.
Okay.
9-10 was my wings, so it's very high downforce was there.
Oh, brilliant! Well, I'm sure everyone else will appreciate that little insight. But what was the race like for you? Was it difficult to keep the focus, or was the chance of taking the championship and the win enough to keep you focused?
It was enough to keep myself focused. And other thing, what I was kind of disappointed was the what was it? Attendance of the race.
Yes.
7 finished the race only. I was very disappointed on that way, but thankfully the season is about to end very, very close. 2 races to go.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that everyone is waiting the F1 2021 as soon as it comes at. July, me as well. So I totally understand that why some people doesn't want to play this game anymore. But
I think it's possible that we've got some sunshine. It's possible it's warming up around Europe and the UK as well. I think that might be having a bit of a difference. Some of the lockdown measures are changing, and people actually want to, see friends and things in real life.
Especially, yeah.
On a Friday and Saturday night, I understand, but it is disappointing when people have committed to a season, for sure. But we've got plenty of reserves, and I think we saw quite a lot of action. Certainly the first half of the race tonight. I think in the off season we'll try and hold some events open to all that are a little bit different, and then that should maximise our chances of getting a good turnout as well. But no, I agree. It is disappointing, but hopefully, Prime, you'll still be with us for the last 2 races and show us how you can start from the back or qualify on hards.
Of course, I am on the last 2 races, and now that I am a champion, I will promise that I don't sweat on the qualifying and on the race, and I start outside of top 10. I promise for everyone.
Awesome,
that
awesome.
I will do some challenges.
You heard it here, folks. It's a Prime promise.
Yeah, it's a primary promise.
But Prime Time has been missing from our screens recently. It looks like you managed to engage it. It felt a little bit like a Jensen Button Championship, leading all the way from the front.
Especially.
Yeah.
Exactly. This was like if I have to describe myself as one legendary Formula 1 driver, I'm definitely like Jensen Button.
Oh, wow.
I'm a great teammate, and describing this season as especially like in 2009. I dominated the beginning of the race, but then at the middle of the season, other guys such as if in 2009 was there like Hamilton and Vettel. Vettel was especially the driver who challenges Button a lot, and also Braun. So yeah, this season was like 2009 for me.
Well, you've crossed the line. You've done it. You've done it before the end of the season, just like Jensen did as well. So, congratulations. Really happy for you. But I hope the rest of the drivers can watch your streams, follow along, and give you a better challenge next year.
Yeah, of course. If I want to fast, but surely to say thank you for all the Celeritas community who has been watching the streams and who has joined the Discord channel, and me as well. I highly suggest you to join Celeritas, because there's a lot of space for the seats, and the league is very balanced in my opinion. That there will be a lot of challenges. Like at the beginning of season, I didn't have a lot of rivals.
Yeah.
As Todd and Sender left the league for now, but like FedEx and Davidek have gave me a good challenge, and so that at the season is coming to the end, I highly want to thank all of the support on the Discord, and especially the Lightning's jokes with me is highly appreciated, and also of course we have great commentary duo on the commentary box. Whatever there are under 10 or under 15 drivers, they're still doing highly great job, and I would love to continue my career on Celeritas when the next season is upcoming.
Well, thank you. That's great to hear. And yeah, there is a lot of work goes in behind the scenes. Not so much from me, but a lot of other people. I'm sure they'll appreciate hearing that. Thanks so much, Prime. Yeah, good luck with the next challenges of the next 2 races. And yeah, thanks for all the drives that you've put in this year. Really good stuff.
Thank you all, Celeritas, and we see you next Saturday and at June. Thank you.
Yes, thanks a lot, Prime. Thanks. Well, I'm going to have to be relatively quick, so forgive me, but I think our second place finisher, FedEx, made it into the party, and Waitsy to follow. FedEx, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Hey, I haven't got a lot of time, I'm afraid, but congratulations. There was a good race, and looks like it was really tough out there.
Yeah, I was really wet, but Davidek and me, we just both weren't confident with the car. I could have had the pace, especially in the second stint, to keep with Prime, but I thought either it's a 15% chance I can stay with him, and 85% I would win it.
Right.
So I just decided to basically just daydream the second half of the race.
Yeah, I imagine it was it tough to keep the focus all the way through?
Yeah, well, if I would have been closer, probably it would have been tough.
Yeah.
But since my laps were at the end, also I was just cruising, not really caring too much. So definitely could have been tougher if I would have been closer to Prime. But yeah, it's just so long. Especially because it's in the dry already the longest. It had to be in the wet. It's like cursed.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Were you in touch with Dawidek through the race?
No.
Good, because I imagine it would have been difficult to keep your focus as he lost it under the safety car again.
On the safety car restart, I had the how do you call it? The accelerator glitch.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
It held you back. Branch suspected that. Yeah.
Did Dawidek hit me?
I didn't see any contact, but I know. I think the person directly behind you probably had the same glitch. But for some reason, Prime didn't have it. He got away under the safety car.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. But I mean, P2 and P6 with the fastest lap means we outscore Prime, and if he says he's doing challenges, it should, if everything goes normally, be the constructors for us, which was our main goal. So
yeah, no, absolutely.
Pretty decent race. But I also want to say, like Prime said, thank you to everyone. Also, if the season is not over, but I'm gonna say just thank you to everyone, and I hope everyone knows that I mean them, that I don't say as much as Prime did.
No, well, that's all very appreciated. I wasn't expecting this to turn into sort of an award ceremony thank yous, but yeah, it's very much appreciated. Congratulations on the podium, and yeah, well done for the focus and the attention to get the AlphaTauri to the end. Tough job, but well done.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
FedEx.
See you next week.
See you later. Thanks for waiting so long. Good to talk to you. And man, that was a tough race. I bet you didn't think a podium was on.
Hell no. I came into the race. I don't like Singapore anyway. And then as soon as I saw a full wet race, you can just imagine the swears that were coming out of my mouth. But I don't know. Quality was okay. Nowhere near the pace of the top guys, but it was about where I thought I'd be. And that race that was something else. It was so hard to keep a concentration.
Yeah.
You know, keeping it out of the wall, especially, you know, in those conditions, and the visibility at times was ridiculous.
Did it wax and wane, the visibility you felt, or was it just about proximity to the drivers in front?
Yeah, if you were sort of following nose to tail, then, you know, the visibility was pretty poor, but obviously I spent quite a lot of that race in my own space, so
yeah,
it's I think that sort of helped me to a certain extent, because I could, you know, pick the lines, I could see where I was having to turn in and things like that. So,
well, it looked like you were pushing hard right to the end. I mean, you had some contact with the wall that we saw, forcing a pit stop
twice. Yeah,
but
twice.
There was another occasion, was there?
Yeah. Just the setup. I didn't have a wet setup.
Okay.
So I had to sort of try and makeshift one extremely quickly, and it didn't really work. You know, I was really struggling with the rear end grip, which that's basically what put me in the wall. Certainly the second time. I mean, I was P3 when I put it in the wall second time round anyway, and I thought, nah, I've done it. I've bottled it again. But yeah, I came out and I just thought, I'm going to give it a go. I knew I was quicker than the guys ahead of me, and obviously I think Lankavas had an issue. I wouldn't have caught Lankavas without that crash, but I was confident that I'd have caught the guy in front who had the 3-second penalty.
Yeah, I think Wongfi wasn't it?
I think I was about 2 seconds, sometimes nearly 3 seconds a lap faster.
Yeah.
And obviously, I got within his 3 seconds, and then obviously I think he's binned it on the last lap.
Yeah, we were watching your progress because it looked like there was going to be the closest battle, and then we were surprised because we gave Prime the glory of the last half a lap, as you'd expect, and
Yeah,
then we see him crawling around, Wangfei crawling around with barely a left front wing left attached. So I think he'd obviously hit the wall, but yeah, we knew you were going to get by anyway, and we were pretty impressed with how hard you were fighting right to the end.
No, I had to give it a go. I was, like I say, I thought I'd thrown the podium away, so I thought I'll give it a go and hope for the best, and it's worked out, which is good. I'm not going to complain.
No, definitely.
But
right, well,
congratulations to Prime for winning the winning the division. He's walked it this season. He's done really well.
Yeah, had a bit of a late season wobble, but came back into form, and it was good.
2 or 3 races, but all the good drivers have their odd wobbles. So
no, definitely. Yeah, it was good, and you'll be pushing hard again for the next 2 races.
Oh sure, yeah, I want to finish strong. I believe is it Austria and Mexico?
I think that sounds about right. Definitely Austria next. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to Austria. I really like racing around there, so I'll be aiming for top 5 easy.
Good stuff.
That's my target for next time round. So, but yeah, I want to finish strong. I haven't had the best of seasons this season. Obviously, I had a shocking start, so I'm definitely looking forward to finishing strong.
Any idea where you stand at the moment? I've only got championship standings for 2 races ago, but I wonder what if you fancying the next place ahead. But
I think so. I think it's quite close in the midfield. I think I should be about 8th after today. I targeted top 5 before this season started, so it could still happen, but it would take 2 good race finishes to give me a chance, which fingers crossed.
Definitely.
No
well,
more
good
red.
stuff. It was you went 3rd in Bahrain. I think you dropped down to 10th, 11th in the worst place to finish in Bahrain. Sorry, you got 3rd in Abu Dhabi and 3rd in Singapore. So really nice run.
Picking it up a bit.
Well, I hope to see you again and talk to you again soon. Thanks a lot, Waitsy. Good driving.
Will do, Webb. Thanks
Cheers,
very
man.
much, mate. Thanks.
Well, thanks to everyone watching. Thanks for sticking with us right to the end. It was a long race, entertaining, certainly in parts, and certainly impressive to watch the drivers tonight. Congratulations, Prime, and also to AlphaTauri for having a really good result there tonight. Remember that we will see you next on Tuesday night for Formula C at 8 p.m. UK time. We'll see you next weekend, 6 p.m. Friday and Saturday nights for Formula 2 and for Division 2 and Division 1 races here with Celeritas as we close out our inaugural season. And we will catch you all on the next race day.